Hello, Gay.
Hello, Lilou. How are you today?
Very good, very good. I'm thrilled about our series, the Big Lip series. This book is amazing. I love it. I'm reading it. I'm craving it. It makes sense. It brings practical solutions. Oh, you have it in French. Le Grand Bon. Oh, this time it's jumping out, completely out. I love it.
Well, good. How do I say that in French? Le
Le Grand
grand
Bon.
bon?
Mhm.
Le grand,
Le Grand Bon.
le grand bon.
Yes.
Okay.
Bon, yeah, it's like the big jump, the
Uh-huh.
big leap. And I just want to remind everybody, for people that don't know you yet, that you have written over 20 books, New York Times bestsellers, and it is just such an honor for me to be coached by you and to take this big leap in my life as I'm about to embark on this big, juicy living tour journey. So this is perfect timing, and I think a lot of people want to stop, the sabotaging, and want to take their life to the new level. And so this is very beneficial, not just for me, but anybody watching, to apply this, to read the book and transform their life. You have coached thousands of people, thousands of executives, thousands. And so I'm excited to remove those obstacles, Gay. Really, really ready for that.
Excellent. So you're ready to take the next big leap?
Yes.
Okay. Good. One of the things I want to do with you in this session, like I often do in a second session with a person, is begin to take a look at the four big zones that you spend your time in every day. Um, in the book, I talk about you're either spending time in your zone of incompetence, where you're doing things that you're not very good at, or you're spending time in your zone of competence, where you're doing things that you're good at, but somebody else could do them just as well.
Mhm.
Or you may be spending time in your zone of excellence, where you're doing things that you're very, very good at, but they may not be in your zone of genius, which is where I found that people can make the biggest impact in their lives. And so I want to take a look with you, if you'd be willing, in
Yes.
this session, about where you're placing your most focus. Because when I first realized this, I realized that I was spending far too much time in my zone of competence. I wasn't spending very much time in my zone of incompetence, but I was spending quite a bit of time in my zone of competence, and I was spending time in my zone of excellence, but I had never really made a commitment to spending my time in my zone of genius. And so that took me on a huge, big leap. So just knowing about the zone of genius, what you know in the book, before we even talked about it, are you willing to learn how to live your life from your zone of genius?
Yes, I'm committed to that. I'm committed to live in my zone of genius now and forever. And I've seen this in the book and I love it. I'm so dedicated to that.
Okay, great. By the way, was the first language you learned to speak French?
Yes.
Well, I'd like you to say that in French then. I commit to living in my zone of genius, but in français.
En français, je m'engage à vivre dans ma zone de compétence maintenant et pour toujours.
Good. How do you say genius in France?
Génie.
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 Yes.
Okay. Very good. Great. So you're willing to spend your life in your zone of genius.
Oui.
Oui. Beautiful. Yes. Oui. Good. I noticed that suddenly makes you turn very pink.
I know, I'm all red because it makes me alive again. Like last time in last session, I feel like it's some new parts of me. It's not that it's emotional, but it's like it's a new part of me. I'm very, very excited. It's like
Yes.
it's the a bit of my shyness probably surfaced right there, but
But that's good. You should live your life in the pink, you know, in the excitement, in being thrilled to be here. And so I like that quality of vividness in your face. It looks good.
Thank you.
Good. So now, scanning over your whole life now, how much time would you say every day you spend in your zone of genius?
Probably 40%, maybe 30%.
30%, 40%. Okay. And give me a couple of examples of what you're doing when you're in your zone of genius. Like right now, are you in your zone of genius?
Yeah. I love connecting with authors and interviewing people and connecting like that and sharing that for everybody to witness and see and have as tools in their life. I just really, really love that. That's for me a soul-to-soul connection. I'm in the present moment. Here it's a coaching, so it's it's a bit different.
Yes.
But really, like just in this listening and this connecting is I really feel is there's something there. And in the sharing, that piece, like it's something to be shared with a lot of people. That's
Yes.
part of that too.
Okay, good. Well, so let's take that 30 to 40% and let's say, okay, that's our baseline. That's where we are right now. And so that's good. So just take a moment to appreciate yourself for having created a life where you are getting to spend time every day in your zone of genius. Yeah. Because already, I mean, when I first talk to people a lot of times, they often estimate that they're spending 10% of their time there, or sometimes zero. Many people I work with say, I've been in my zone of excellence for 30 years now, but I don't feel like I'm spending any time in my zone of genius. So congratulations to you at a relatively young age of really spending time in your zone of genius. That's a great thing.
Well, then again, it depends what you call the genius, but inside that zone, I have to say that inside of this zone that I'm talking about, then there's those moments where I'm in front of the camera and I just completely, loosely, very playfully start to just, there is some humor that comes out, there is some playfulness where I share something like a spiritual message in such a, I could put on like one day I was an angel on the camera, and I was just, it was Angel Lilou, it is a message of love, And I was in the pure zone of just like, oh my God. So within the realm of, interviews, I just love it. And there's those moments where, inside of those interviews or inside those videos where, there's just no more time that exists, and there is, and that's at the core. And that's why I'm realizing that I'm not doing enough of, because I've been a lone ranger, I've been wanting to do everything myself. I've been able to reach, over 5 million people by doing that on my own. And now it's a matter of opening up and having people help me, and come in to support this project. And that's why the Juicy Tour is here too, so that I can just, let go of those things like video editing, like, all those different things that I don't like as much, and that are very, the technicalities and all those things that just take a lot of time, and I'm not in my zone of, I'm okay at doing it.
Yes.
But not great.
But yeah, there may be in your zone of competence. So like editing a video is something that you can do a good job of, but somebody else could do it just as well, right?
Oh, and way more creative and adding so much to it. Yeah, there's so many people that can operate on a true zone of genius in that area. Like, so amazing. The things that I see on YouTube or on television, obviously, is really, really great. And it adds a lot to the quality of the video then that is viewed.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Good. So back to my zone of genius question for a moment. Would you be willing now to spend at least 50% of your time in your zone of genius? Would you be willing to make a commitment to spending at least 50% of your time in your zone of genius?
Yes, I'm willing and committed to spend 50% of my time in my zone of genius.
Okay, good. So let's just take a moment and really get that commitment in your body as a sincere, heartfelt commitment, kind of a big whole body yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. A
Yes.
yes that you can feel in your heart, in your belly, in your spirit, everywhere in you. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So we're just kind of going to increase that a little bit. So
Okay.
right now you're spending 30 or 40% of your time. Now let's just expand a little bit.
Woo! Okay, I'm blushing
Yeah.
again.
Good. That's good. That's what I
It's a
want is
lot
I
of
want you to
joy.
turn
It's
pink.
a lot of joy. 50%. Whoa.
Yeah. Well, good. So you like that feeling. Let's kind of take a whole body snapshot of how that feels inside. Hmm.
My cells are wiggling.
Good. That could be a good title for a book by you. My cells are wiggling.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Are you a dancer, a mover? Do you like to move? And
I can do that, yeah.
yeah. The reason I ask is my wife originally was trained as a dance therapist, a movement therapist, and
Wow.
so she has this sweatshirt that says, "If it's physical, it's therapy." You
Oh,
know, because anytime you use your body to
yeah.
help bring in an idea, you can save yourself a tremendous amount of time by taking a moment when you come up with a new idea, like spending at least 50% of your time in your zone of genius to embody that and just get the feeling for how that feels.
Oh my God, there is, at the same time, there is some uncomfortableness that comes up. Again, it's in the face all the time where I feel it stretches, it's like, so
Yeah.
I feel like it went up and then all of a sudden, whoop, well, what is this?
Well, usually what happens is that the excitement comes up and then it hits some old place in you where you feel like maybe you're scared to do that or
Yeah.
maybe you don't deserve to be that magnificent, and so that's where the upper limit problem
It's
lives.
on the
Like for
face.
one person it might be in their shoulders or it might be in their face or their neck or their belly.
What was
But
What's interesting about that is that on the face I have a rosacea problem, which is a skin condition, that I had that started over 2 years ago when I was in England before I lost my job and before I lost my job and I liked it. I had a whole eruption of a big one of rosacea and I've done some videos and I've tried to heal that. And it's interesting that it's right now I'm feeling it in the face, you see?
So that's a place where you embodied some fear or
Yeah,
old pain, or maybe felt that you weren't lovable because you had that problem with your skin.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a good thing to just take a moment right now and love your skin. Just go ahead and put a drop of love on those places that used to have
I
some pain
still
or
do.
discomfort.
Boom,
Still
boom.
do.
Yeah.
hmm I'm not very familiar with that particular
It's
skin
just
problem.
it's like a lot of redness. I had to take 3 months of antibiotics, unfortunately. But it's like the whole redness here, there, and on the cheeks.
Yeah, I can't really see it
So right
from.
now I have makeup, and it's like maybe 10 times less than what it was.
Mhm.
But as I came out of a treatment, but it's certainly I have a great feeling that it is about the not accepting myself unconditionally.
Well, good. Well, here's your homework then. Make a note of this for doing it a few times when between now and next time we talk. And that is to just think of yourself. You've got a little homeopathic dropper of love, and you just drop a little homeopathic drop of love on those places in your face where you can still see or feel the
I love
skin.
that.
Yeah, rosacea. How do you pronounce?
Rosacea. R O
Rosacea.
S A.
Rosacea.
Yeah.
Okay.
I sound very
Yeah.
French now. Acne rosacea. It's adults that have that. It's not. Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Well, good. I don't know too much about it, but anyway, just give it a drop of love, just like you're giving a little dropper full of a special magical oil or elixir, or
I
how do you
like
say it
that.
in France? Elixir.
Elixir.
Elixir. Um, so that's your homework, is to occasionally kind of give it a little kiss of homeopathic love, okay? Um, good, and so that'll help with the healing of it.
I like that.
Okay, so your commitment now is to living in your zone of genius at least 50% of the time.
Yes.
Okay, now let's make that very practical. Today, let's call this day 0 of our conversation. We're having our conversation. Day 1 is tomorrow, the first day where you'll be able to put this into action. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
On day 1, what could you do differently? How could you set up your day differently so that at least 50% of your time was spent in your zone of genius?
Well, tomorrow is Saturday,
Yeah?
and I wanted to save this day tomorrow to really spend some time with myself. I really set this day apart to not do videos. Really, I want to bring the feminine energy and the letting go and just, detach from all those very significant, and goals that I set myself with. I just really wanted to take tomorrow as a day to honor my feminine energy, basically.
Mm-hmm. Good. And so that contributes to your genius, right?
Yeah, totally.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So that sounds like you've got a perfect day set up for putting this into action.
Cool.
Okay. So make a note tomorrow night when you go to bed. About what time do you go to bed at night?
Like at 11 p.m. or...
Okay. Make a note at 11 p.m. tomorrow night. Maybe write it by the side of your bed. Do a quick check and ask yourself, did I spend at least 50% of my time in my zone of genius?
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then send me an email with the answer. Okay? Did you or didn't you? And there's no blame if you didn't, if something else happened tomorrow. I just would like to know, yes, I was able to put that commitment into action.
Mm-hmm. But so when you mean zone of genius, when we're not at work or when we're not, doing, because I'm a doer. So I trying to find out how this zone of genius is like in the personal life too. I mean, I guess I should not be separating this, but...
Well, yeah, that's a great question, though. Ask yourself, the way you're spending tomorrow, does it feel like a contribution to you being in your zone of genius when you are working?
Okay.
Right?
Uh-huh.
So it's a part of your zone of genius.
Yeah.
Just like getting a good night's sleep might be in your zone of genius. Or for me, I meditate every day. That's the first thing I do in the morning after I get out of bed is I stretch and I meditate for about a half an hour. And then I start doing my writing and other things like that. So this morning, if you were with me at 6 a.m., you'd see me in here meditating for a while with my beautiful cat, Lucy. My wife likes to sleep.
Lucy? Is Lucy here?
No, Lucy is outdoors right now. She's taking a nap out in the sun. But my wife likes to sleep in the morning till a little bit later, till 7:30 or something like that. And so I usually spend the first couple of hours of my day just hanging out with Lucy and writing. But the first thing I do is meditate, because without that, I don't feel like I can access my genius. So the kind of day you're having tomorrow sounds like a real contribution to you being in your genius.
Mm-hmm. I see what you mean. So it's anything that contributes to more of the zone of... So it's like, and it's what's good about that too is that I would love to find some rituals or some things that really corresponds to me, tomorrow, that really connects deeply within me, that I can do every day as part of the zone of genius.
Yes, that's good.
Because I do the affirmation, I read my intention. This week I've been doing reading the wonder questions, and bringing all that, and I felt a lot of magnificent things, bubbling up, and really living in those moments where, oh my God, I felt like a leaping Lilou, just like those moments where I'm just like, woohoo, I just love it. Everything flows, and I have, a few persons in my team that are just really, that have read The Big Leap too. So we're just calling ourselves Juicy Leaping, Linda, or Juicy Leaping Lilou, which is contributing to this whole, this whole leaping effect. And we're contributing and acknowledge the genius in each other. But I would really love beyond that to find like a really, a practice to let that fire and genius inside of me, let it out and be okay with expressing that every day. I have so much energy and love to give, Gay. I really would love to find a way to be okay with that all the time.
Well,
and
good.
Not sabotage anymore, because then it's limiting. It just doesn't. That was then, this is now, though.
Yeah, this is now. But also it's good to, let's take that whole self-sabotage thing and give it a drop of love. Ding! Because we've all got a self-saboteur in there. It's a question, though, of whether you beat on it or give it a drop of love. And I'd much rather have you give it a drop of love. While we're on that subject, I have a suggestion for you of something brand new for you to do. And that is, I'd like to take like this intention that you made to spend at least 50% of your time in your zone of genius. Mm-hmm. And I'd like you to spend about 10 minutes, put on some music that you like, and let yourself move with that intention. Mm-hmm. Just move to embody that intention. That's one of the fastest ways you can make things happen in the material world, is to move with it. Because then, you see, the part of your mind that handles logic is only about the size of a quarter, a 25-cent piece. It's very small in your brain. But your whole body is a learning system, with 18 trillion connections in it. And so we need to kind of get our learnings into our body, into our breath, actually become vibrant in movement with them. And that can really speed up the manifestation process. It's just like if you're trying to row a boat with a ping pong paddle, it's not very easy. But if you're using the oars, that are designed to get out in the water, it becomes much easier to do that. So would you do that sometime during your day tomorrow?
I would totally do that.
Okay.
I am going to do that. And I can see, I'm celebrating that genius.
Yes.
I'm embodying the quality of my genius, my zone of genius.
Yes, you're making a living commitment to it, because you're saying, I commit to living in my zone of genius, and at the same time you're moving with it and feeling your genius. And I want you to do that just for 10 minutes and feel how you feel afterwards. I think it'll blow you away.
What was so funny is that this week, actually, I had this moment where I just started dancing, and just like, really the tribal, part of me, just like, wah-wah-baka-choo, woohoo! And I was just like moving and enjoying it. And letting it out, and it came very spontaneously, and it was in the morning, and I just really, really connected deeply with that. There was the earth, it was like the earth sensation of like grounding at the same time, while being totally in the creative and connected from the up there. And it was just really, really good. It was honoring my, not animal side, I want to say, but my more primitive side of me too. Mm-hmm. Because I'm very cerebral type of woman. I'm always in my head, I mean, I'm a lot in my head. So that is I'm going to do that every day now. Yes.
Good. One of my mentors, Jack Downing, who is a psychiatrist back in Palo Alto, where I was when I was at Stanford getting my PhD, I had the opportunity to spend a lot of time with him, working with him. And he had this saying. He said, if people would dance for an hour a day, we could close down all the mental health centers in America. You know, that it's that act of really joyfully moving your body that's so important. And I like to do a little bit of that every day. It keeps the creativity flowing. And on Thursdays, my wife and I spend an hour doing that on Thursday evenings. And it's just the most
Wow.
wonderful feeling, you know. So start with 10 minutes, though, because I know everybody can do 10 minutes.
Excellent. I'm going to do that.
Good.
And tomorrow I'll do that for a little bit longer.
Okay.
Since
Great.
tomorrow is is the day,
Well,
the launching day of.
Yeah, why don't we just call it Tomorrow is Genius Day?
Yeah,
Okay.
tomorrow's genius. I love
Yeah.
that.
Tomorrow starts my genius life, where you're spending at least half your time in your zone of genius. See, even if you're a great genius, you know, like Albert Einstein or someone like that, there are times when you're going to be doing things that are in your zone of competence, you know, like Albert Einstein had to drive down to the coffee shop to get his cup of coffee and his donut, you know, and so he's going to spend some time in his zone of competence. But and that's okay. But what we want to do is just a little bit each day increase the amount of time we're spending in our zone of genius. Okay?
And I really loved in the book too when you speak about the worrying part and how this can help us to tap in what was actually in that moment trying to be launched, you know, in our way of being as a possibility. And that really touched me because I'm worried all the time, and I was reading that you were worried all the time, and then you found out that, you know, it's just as soon as we start to worrying, it's because something great was about to launch, and then we can go right back at it if we just look at it and pause for a second.
Yeah, that is really a key thing. I'm glad you've picked up on that because, see, worrying is only useful if you're thinking about something that you actually can do something about. But if you notice, most of the time your worry thoughts are about the past, something that's already happened, so you can't do anything about that, or they're about the future, they're about something that might happen in the future. And of course, there's nothing you can do about that. You can't control the future. So most of the time, 9 times out of 10, worrying is about really the fact that you've hit an upper limit of how good you can feel. And so your brain starts, you know, doing its thing up there. And so what I recommend doing is when you notice that, just go back to having a good feeling again. Go back to having a good time again if you're with your beloved or with friends. And just say, okay, that was me. That was then. This is now. You remember that example I used in the book about the automatic pilot on an airplane?
Yes.
Well, let me mention it again.
Yeah.
An automatic pilot, let's say you're in Paris and you want to fly to London. Well, the airline pilot sets the automatic pilot for London. And what the automatic pilot does, why it's so good, is it corrects itself constantly. Like it'll say, okay, we're drifting to the right, correct? Now we're drifting to the left, let's correct. We're drifting to the right, let's correct. And it has this central intention of getting to London, but it gets to London by being wrong most of the time. You know,
and so that. I haven't gotten to that point yet. I'm at page like 80 or 90. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, so we need to just accept that we're going to be drifting and recorrect, you know, not make it a big deal, because the automatic pilot, the nice thing about it is it doesn't get upset when it drifts, you know, it doesn't say, oh, why did you turn right again, you know, or anything like that. It just says, let's correct, let's correct. And so that's how we ought to be in life, is just get really clear on what our intention is, and then correct when we find ourselves drifting.
So this way of being, because sometimes when we have those worrying and we want to look at the way of being, how, because it's not just, oh, I was actually thinking of my dream and I was being, I mean, how do we, what is the, where do we want to get at? I mean, how, because the question that you have is, I don't know how to, because sometimes it's not that easy to find. I have it. Like right now,
Yeah.
I'm worrying that I'm not gonna get it. You see?
Hmm.
There's
Okay.
that
And
question:
and
is it possible to? What is it? Is it possible? What I'm wondering, what positive new thing is trying to come into being?
yes. So when you find yourself worrying, first of all, just find out if it's a realistic worry. Like if you're worrying about fire in your apartment and you can smell some smoke in the air, that's worth worrying about.
Mm-hmm.
you know but if you if you're sitting there worrying about something that your boyfriend said 3 months ago, or you're worried about what's going to happen 3 months from now, those are the moments to catch yourself and say, what was trying to happen right there when I started worrying? Was I breaking through to a new level of feeling good, or was my beloved and I breaking through to a new level of connection with each other? And you notice that most of the time there was something very positive going on, and you just couldn't handle that much positivity anymore, and so you started worrying about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And worry thoughts lead to more worry thoughts.
Yeah, I'm good with those.
Well, the important thing is when you notice yourself worrying, just take a deep breath and come back to feeling good. Come back to feeling good in your body again. The nice thing about the reason I use breathing a lot too, Lilou, is because within 3 breaths, you can change your body chemistry.
Ah,
Within 3 big breaths, science has found that your body chemistry begins to change from stress to easy if you just take 3 big breaths. Like do them with me right now.
I do it with the whole arms.
I'm just showing you how to breathe. Now, here's another thing science has discovered. If you can slow your breathing down to about 4 seconds in and 4 seconds out, it actually turns off the stress chemistry in your body. So, in, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4. Do it with me. In, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4. Good. So whenever you find yourself under stress or in the middle of some worry, there's a good way to come back to your body again, is take those breaths that take about 8 seconds to go all the way in and out. 8 to 10 seconds is even better if you can stretch it out to about 5 seconds in and 5 seconds out. You only have to do that for about 3 breaths, and suddenly you can feel very different. Did you notice the different feeling in your body when you did that?
Yeah, it feels good.
Yeah.
Feels. I feel light and present, and yeah, it does feel good.
All right. Well, the big thing I want to have us focus on in today's session is making a solid commitment to spending at least half your time in your zone of genius. Okay? So do you feel like you have that solid now?
I do feel I have solid. Yeah, I do feel that I am committed to live 50% of the time in my zone of genius.
Okay. Good.
I'm willing to explore
Yes.
and live that. Yeah.
Okay, so make it as a real active statement. I commit to spending at least half my time in my zone of genius. Look me right in the eye and say, I commit to
I commit to live at least 50% of my time in my zone of genius. Je
Good.
m'engage à vivre plus de 50% de mon temps dans ma vie, dans ma zone de génie.
Ah, beautiful. Great. Oh, how I wish I could speak French with that beautiful an accent. I've actually seen French waiters cringe when I began to speak French to them.
The Parisian look. Oh.
that kind of snarl they give, you know. So let me hear that one more time. Just look me right in the eye and tell me that commitment.
Je m'engage à vivre 50% de mon temps dans ma zone de génie à partir de maintenant.
Beautiful. Take 3 breaths now with that. Three easy breaths. And take another breath while you're saying yes with your head to that experience. Saying yes to that commitment. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So be it. So be it.
So be it.
So be it. Good. Now, have you written that down? I commit to. Have you written that down, that sentence?
Yes.
Excellent. Great. Good. Now, here's a great experiment that I'd like you to do. I'd like you to write it again with your non-dominant hand. Like if you're right-handed, write it with your left hand.
Yeah.
Okay? Are you right-handed or left-handed?
Right.
Okay. Quickly write it with your left hand and keep breathing while you're doing it.
Now?
Yes.
Oh, this is so funny. I'm going to write with a big pen then. I commit. I'm writing in big.
Breathe.
I commit. So what does it do? Because I write it in the... I commit.
It uses the opposite side of your brain.
Wow. I commit.
See, the right side controls the left side of your body. So we want to get it on both sides.
I commit to live. Oh, I'm really getting it in now. I'm committed to live. Because the other one was to living in my zone of genius.
Don't say I am committed. Say I commit.
I commit, yeah, to live 50%.
At least 50%.
At least. This is hilarious. At least. I'm a bit slow with that hand, huh? At least 50%.
Breathing.
The 50% of my life. No, of my time.
Of my time, in my zone of genius.
Of my time. Wow. I'm getting better at this. In my zone of genius. There. Voila.
Voila. All right, good.
And it's
well, good. I'd like you to write it once with your right hand and once with your left hand every day between now and the time we talk again.
All right.
Just take a few minutes to do it and breathe, okay? Because when you're operating the right side of your body, your left side of your brain is operating the right side of your body. When you're using the left side of your body, the other side of your brain gets into the act.
All right.
So we want to make sure we're one big whole person.
Okay, cool. Excellent. I'm going to do that.
All right, good. So 10 minutes of dancing with it and write your commitment.
Okay. Thank you very much, Gay. That was another great session. Thank you.
My pleasure. Until next time, be a genius.
Be a genius.